Hello everyone, how you doing? Hope you're all doing really well today. I'm Lindsay, your host of the Heavy Metal Journal and writer for Lambgoat and the Moshville Times, and I'm back with my top 40 albums of 2024 series, and today is part 2 where I will be counting down number 30 to 21, or up, down. 30 to 21, anyway. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I really struggled with this particular part of the list. I don't know why, but I always find kind of like the middle section to be the hardest to place albums, because obviously I love all of the albums that I recommend to you guys on a weekly basis, but the top 40 obviously have a very special place in my heart, but it's the middle section of that top 40 that I always have trouble placing things, and I always get really guilty because I feel like I'm not doing these albums justice. Even though they have made it into my top 40, there's a part of me that's like, they really shouldn't be in the middle tier because they are amazing. Anyway, enough of the rambling, but if you haven't caught part 1 of this series yet, where I counted from 40 to 31, that will be linked in the description box below, but this whole series of 4 videos will be in the same playlist, so keep an eye out for that as well. But I'm just going to jump in because I think I've rambled enough about this as it is, so let's get started. Okay, so coming in at number 30, and today's first entry was released on the 19th of April via Hypnotic Dirge Records, and that's Hekseblad with Kaer Mohren. And this is the debut album from the black metal band. Now this is a raw black metal record, and I think it's the rawest black metal record that I have on the list this year. But not only that, the really cool thing about this is the concept. It's all centred around the world of The Witcher. So the name of the album title, the name of the tracks, the concepts, the lyrics, the stories, even the album artwork, which is stunning by the way, is all centred around The Witcher. I love The Witcher, I've read the books, I've played the video games, and I love the TV series as well, so I was very excited about this particular record, and it didn't disappoint at all. Even though it is very raw and very dissonant, there's some really dense melodics there as well, especially the waltz kind of sounds that you get throughout, and it really does tell the story of The Witcher and his associated world. So if you are a fan of raw black metal, particularly the second wave of black metal, with that medieval fantasy kind of style about it, with very heavy melodics, it's very heavy on the melodic side of things, this one is definitely for you. My favourite track of the record is A Grain of Truth, Nivellen's Waltz, and if you are a fan of the likes of Stormkeep, Halder, Emperor, that kind of sound, definitely get onto this one. But coming in at number 30 is a Witcher themed black metal record from Hekseblad with Kaer Mohren. Okay, so coming in at number 29, released on the 16th of February via Candlelight Records, I have Ihsahn with his self-titled album Ihsahn, and this is the 8th studio album from this particular project from the experimental extreme metal wizard. This guy is an absolute mastermind, and he is so ridiculously creative it should be illegal. I don't understand how he's able to come out with everything that he does, but time and time again he completely annihilates everybody. Now what I really loved about this particular record is, yes, he does combine high dense orchestration with progressive elements, black metal elements, and very experimental elements, but not only that, this album was actually released with an orchestral only version as well, so if you want to hear the differences between the two, where it's just the orchestral version, no lyrics, no black metal, no progressive moments, purely orchestral, this is a really cool concept. This is an absolute masterpiece. It twists, it turns, it is not for the faint-hearted, but at the same time, even though it's densely progressive and in your face and very dramatic, it's quite easy to listen to as well. And I often find myself getting lost when I listen to this record, but in the best way possible. I completely forget about reality and I just delve into his mind, and it's such a fascinating, interesting place to be. So naturally, if you are a fan of the likes of Emperor, Opeth or Enslaved, you're definitely going to want to get onto this one. But coming in at number 29, I have Ihsahn with Ihsahn. Okay, so coming in at number 28, released back on the 24th of May via Willowtip Records, I have Vale of Pnath with Between the Worlds of Life and Death. And this is the third studio album from the symphonic blackened death metal band. This record completely blew me away the very first time I heard it. It's got all of that blackened death metal goodness. It goes ridiculously hard and it just annihilates everything in its path. And it has a lot of really cool instrumentation, so your savage riffs, your blast beats and your chugging bass lines and very heavy melodics. The melodies and the harmonies certainly land on the heavier side of things, but you've also got the added complexities of synths, keyboards, cello, violin, all rolled into one, and the vocal style is a mix of different guttural kind of vocals. So you've got your fry screams, you've got your very deep demonic vocals, and they are so powerful and energetic. But it's the synths and the keyboards that really add this eerie, ominous kind of atmosphere, and it's ridiculously catchy. My favourite track of this record is Soul Offering. If anybody has listened to this record, or even just this track, it's that very catchy, rhythmical, ridiculously addictive synth beat that's in this, and it just stands out from the rest of the record, and I cannot get enough of that track. That one track in particular actually is one of my favourite tracks of the year. So if you are a fan of the likes of the Zenith Passage, Allegiant, Dimmu Borgir, it has a lot of that blackened death metal energy with a lot of creepy melodics and harmonies. This one is definitely for you. But coming in at number 28, I have Vale of Pnath with Between the Worlds of Life and Death. Now, coming in at number 27 was an album that kind of slipped in at the very tail end of the year there, released on the 1st of November via Transcending Obscurity Records. I have Paganizer with Flesh Requiem, and this is Swedish death metal. I love Swedish death metal, and this is a proper old school death metal sound with modern approaches, and it is just going to completely annihilate you. The blast beats, the riffs, the solos, even the chugging bass lines are so intense, powerful and in your face. But there's a lot of groove under the foundations of that as well, which makes it a standout moment for me throughout this entire year. I cannot get enough of this record. It's a proper earworm of a record. The melodies and the harmonies are so groove laden and really fun to listen to, and the vocal style is very in your face. It's going to completely melt your face off. Deeply guttural, very powerful, incredibly venomous, and it just keeps going. This entire album just charges forward straight at you with a lot of groove. My favourite track of this record is definitely the title track, Flesh Requiem. There's a particular riff and there's a particular harmony and melody about this track that really hooks you in, and it was a definite standout moment for me on this record. So if you are a fan of the likes of Entombed, Dismember, Edge of Sanity, this one is definitely for you. But if you like your groove-laden, hard, harsh, Swedish old school death metal with a bit of a modern approach, definitely check this one out. But coming in at number 27, I have Paganizer with Flesh Requiem. Now, coming in at number 26 might be a bit of a surprise for people, because I received a few messages and comments asking if this band was going to be my album of the year because of my profound love. I have loved this band for so many years now. But coming in at number 26, released on the 24th of May via Season of Mist Records, I have Rotten Christ with Pro Xristou. And this is Hellenic melodic black metal. Now, like I said, I have loved this band for such a long time. I listen to Rotten Christ basically on a weekly basis. I cannot get enough of them. And the fact that I'm mentioning them now on my top 40 albums of 2024 just goes to show how much amazing music has come out this year. Now, this is a very neatly packaged Rotten Christ album, and I absolutely loved it. It's very theatrical, it's very dark and ominous, and it has that very typical Rotten Christ Hellenic sound to it, but with the added addition of more choirs than usual, more spoken word moments, and there's also a lot of battleground noises, and towards the end there's some bagpipes, which I'm not mad about being Scottish. But Sakis Tollis has kept this band going for so long. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's found a signature sound, and it's a signature sound that I absolutely love. My favourite track of this record is The Apostate. There's a section in that track where it just completely breaks down and it launches into this monastic chant, and it's just so darkly atmospheric. So if you are a fan of the likes of Septic Flesh, Varathron, Necromancia, this one is definitely for you. But as a surprise to a lot of you, I know, coming in at number 26, I have Rotting Christ with Pro Christo. Okay, so coming in at number 25, and this is the halfway point for this video now, released on the 4th of October via Century Media Records, I have Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere, and this is experimental death metal. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to like this album, because Blood Incantation have been a band that I've really struggled with in the past. But this one was really cool, and I can't stop listening to it, so that's why it's coming in at number 25 this year. A lot of cosmic energy meets Pink Floyd meets progressive technical death metal. It sounds absolutely insane, and I can hear a little bit of War of the Worlds thrown in there as well. But if you like that kind of cosmic, otherworldly energy, progressive technical death metal with a bit of Pink Floyd thrown into the mix, definitely check this one out. It sounds mental. If you've not listened to this record before, I understand that that's a lot, but even though it is very densely progressive, there's a lot of really cool time signatures, it's very dreamlike and floaty in parts, and then it completely obliterates everything in its path at the next moment. There's a lot of really cool guitar tones and a mix of different vocal styles. It's a very dense, atmospheric, multi-layered record, but it takes you on a journey, and I highly recommend listening to this album in a dark room, lying down with your eyes closed, with a pair of headphones on, and just go with it, because it is truly an immersive experience, and I cannot get enough of it. My favourite track of this record is definitely Stargate Tablet 3, and this is unlike anything that I've ever really listened to before, so it is very difficult for me to compare it to something else. But if you are a fan of the likes of Immolation, Incantation, or Morbid Angel, I reckon you're going to enjoy this. But coming in at number 25, I have Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere. Okay, coming in at number 24, released on the 21st of June via Nuclear Blast Records, I have Alcest with Le Chants de l'Or, and this is post-black shoegaze. Now, forgive me for my terrible pronunciation of French. This is a beautiful album. It's very dreamlike, it's very floaty, it's very ethereal, but it's completely crushing with the black metal element as well. And the vocal style is so impassioned and full of energy and emotion, and it really does hook you in. Listening to this band is like having an outer body experience. I've seen them once before when they were supporting Cradle of Filth. I went down to London to see Cradle of Filth and Alcest live, and by the time this video goes live, I'll actually be in Glasgow watching Alcest live on one of their own headlining tours. So I'm very excited about that. But this is a very beautiful, thought-provoking, emotional record that has a lot of guitar intricacies and really cool riffs and solos, and you can really hear this raw emotion in the vocals, and it takes you on a dreamlike journey, and it twists and turns, and it's just an outer body experience, but with black metal and a lot of really cool intricacies as well. My favourite track of this record is L'Enfant de la Lune, but coming in at number 24, I have Alcest with Les Chants de l'Aurore. Okay, so coming in at number 23, released on the 23rd of August via Profound Lore Records, I have Spectral Wound with Songs of Blood and Mire, and this is black metal. I love this record. It is so creepy, it's so dark and intense and in your face, and it is everything that I love about the black metal genre. This record just gives off the energy of emanating from the void, and it is quite possibly one of my favourite black metal records of the year. It's a very guitar driven record, so it's the guitars and the drums that create the atmosphere. There is a slight addition of synth throughout, but that is not the focal point. The focal point is definitely the guitars and certainly the drums, and that is what creates this enigmatic atmosphere about the record. This was highly anticipated for me. As soon as I heard that they were releasing a new album, I was very excited, and this just did not disappoint at all. Really cool chugging bass lines, tremolo picking, insane blast beats, and the most evil vocal style I have heard for a while. It's rasping, it's venomous, there's a lot of power and evil behind it, and I love that. My favourite track of this record is definitely Wine Dark Night in the Mouldering Halls, and if you are a fan of the likes of Gorgoroth, Migwa, Hell Ruin or Lamp of Murmur, this one is definitely for you. But coming in at number 23, I have Spectral Wound with Songs of Blood and Mire. Okay, so coming in at number 22, released on the 7th of June, and this is a self-released independent record, and that's Brazen Tongue with Of Crackling Embers and Sorrows Drowned, and this is melodic death thrash metal. This is such an addictively heavy record, and there's something that really strikes you in the soul when you listen to it. There's something dark and ominous but enticing about this record, and the thrash metal element is sublime. I love thrash metal, but I like the old school thrash metal sound, and that is definitely what you get with this, but it's the melodic death metal that's thrown into the mix here that really gives it that atmospheric edge, and there's something very evil and foreboding about this record, but it's highly addictive when you listen to it. Plus, the vocal style is very intriguing as well. It's got a very unique vocal style throughout. Yes, you have these kind of harsh growls. I wouldn't go as far to say that they're guttural, but they are very harsh, and the cleaner style of vocals maintains that harshness, and it's just a very unique, interesting sound to listen to. There is a very light synth presence throughout this, but again, this is a very guitar-driven record, and that's what really creates the atmosphere, and it's the synths that kind of capitalise on that, and it supports the atmosphere that's already there. But the guitar work in this is incredible, and I cannot believe that this is a debut record, and it's a self-released title as well. It's not tied to any record label whatsoever, and I highly recommend that people give this a shot because I loved this. Walking the Parapets is definitely my favourite track of this record, and if you are a fan of the likes of Maul, Hath or Orbit Culture, this one is definitely for you. But coming in at number 22, I have Brazen Tongue with Of Crackling Embers and Sorrows Drowned. Okay, so coming in at number 21 and the last entry on the list for this video, released on the 25th of October via Inside Out Records, I have Devin Townsend with PowerNerd, and this is progressive metal at its absolute finest. I went purely on vibes for this record. I love everything about this record and the full range of emotions that you feel when you're listening to this. Now, Devin himself has been very candid about his struggles writing this record, and it is full of a lot of emotions, but you also have that heavy aspect. In fact, at one point it goes brutally death metal, which was really surprising, but there's a lot of really cool 80s synth about it as well. Proper old school heavy metal, a lot of progressive elements, uplifting elements, thought-provoking and emotional elements, and it's just a stunning work of art. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I was personally called out on the very last track of this record, Ruby Quaker, because I have a caffeine addiction, and the first time I heard that track, all I did was laugh throughout the entire thing because I felt both seen and attacked at the same time. But believe it or not, that is not my favourite track of this record. My favourite track of this record is definitely Jainism. But if you are a fan of the likes of Ocean Machine, Ihsahn, Gajira or Opeth, this one is definitely for you. But coming in at number 21, I have Devin Townsend with PowerNerd. And that's it for part 2 of my top 40 albums of 2024. Once again, comment down below to let me know what you think of today's records. And if you want to share some of your own list, please feel free to do so, because I love seeing everybody's album of the year list, whether that's top 10, top 5, top 100. Keep them coming, because I am still discovering new music from all of your lists. It's actually impossible to keep up with absolutely everything that's coming out on a yearly basis. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys on Monday.